All right, here we go. It is Thursday. We have the recap, and today was somewhat of a quiet day, but I would say it's pretty much a win for the bulls. You know, in this range, choppy environment that we've been in on thin and low volume. You know, this week was definitely a little bit of a volatile one where there wasn't much continuity. But, you know, at this point, you look at the charts, you'll see that, you know, the bulls made a little bit of a stance. Okay? On this day, which was the day that we broke below the fake out highs, which was right here. Remember that? We broke below 21.22. If you read my note, I was focusing on that. If you read my note, you know I took down risk here, took down risk there, got a little bit short, thinking that perhaps this is the time we break this ascending channel, and then all of a sudden, boom, that happened on Wednesday. So I covered my shorts, switched a little gears, got a little bit long, thinking maybe, you know, we now stay in this trend and get a little bit more upside action. So today the futures were down. The question was, would we hold? You know, here they couldn't hold the rally. You know, on this day today, would we be able to hold some gains? And I would say on that little inside day, you would think this is somewhat of a bull or a win for the bulls, as you know, it was able to hold halfway. So the dip buyers came in right around here, and we closed relatively strong. So if people are still short from this wide range bar, chances are we start getting through here. If they didn't cover yet, they probably need to cover. So with that being said, I don't know, tomorrow's Friday. We'll see if we get another inside day, or we'll see if we get some kind of continuation. This tells me, you know, neutral to positive versus neutral to negative. Okay, and then you go to some stocks. You know, Apple right away, I'll go right to it. It's probably my biggest position right now for the mere fact that, first of all, there's liquidity. I like trading Apple. And if you've been trading it from the long side, it trades from patterns. You could be very successful. Last little swing trade was right here when it broke above this 127.60. Then they shook the tree a little bit right there. Remember that? That was that wide range bar that got me out. Then yesterday, reclaimed most of it, got me in, and now it's wedging. Okay, so I guess this will sort of tell us which way this market's going to go. For, you know, in my humble opinion, I think it's going to be, you know, at least Apple to the upside. So I'm trying to, you know, time a good move here. And here is, you know, where it broke out and failed, and it corrected. Now it's coming back up to it. So I'm probably in tier 2 Apple. And then if we start getting above this 130, 295, 133, I'll add. And then maybe just, you know, not look at it, put a stop there. And then I think the next level will be 134.54. And then you're, you know, you're at all-time highs. And if you want to do a measured move from, what is this, 123 to 134, you know, it's like 9 points. And there you have 140 plus. Big, long channel. It's been in this channel now for 5 months. So we'll see if we can resolve upward. Then some of the other names I was in, you know, definitely wishy-washy. Amazon, I'm probably not going to trade anymore. Every time I'm long Amazon, it pulls in $4 or $5 on me, and I lose money, and then it goes up the next day. So if that follows suit tomorrow, Amazon will be up. So anyway, you know, held the gap. It still looks fine. It's just not ready to go yet. I guess see what happens tomorrow. Here's your inside range. So support 1 you have here at 425 and then 422. If it wants to get going, it's got to clear this spot. Netflix also, you look at it now, it's no big deal. Everyone wanted a big gap up after, you know, breaking this small descending channel and holding the 8 day. It didn't happen, so maybe tomorrow it happens. So if you stayed with it, congratulations. It held most of the prior day, and now you have a pivot here at 629.25 for more action. It's been hugging the 8 day, very strong. If the market's going to go up, this one should go up with it. It's been a momentum leader. Tesla, I'm actually long Tesla. I haven't been long Tesla in a while. I was long it down here. Remember when it broke its descending channel? Okay, when things break a descending channel, what starts? A new trend. And here, if you were short against the channel, or short against the channel, you were making money the whole time. Here's when it broke above it, stayed on the right side. I think this was my trade right here when it took back the 200 day, probably into there. Then I haven't really traded it since. So today, it showed some relative strength. It held the 8 day, closed sort of strong. So we'll see what's next here. You know, if it opens down a little bit, perhaps you get an add through this pivot of 252, because basically, if it goes through there, there's still a big short interest, and you could perhaps get another move. So we'll see what happens with Tesla tomorrow. Babu was one of my other positions. This one hurt me today. You know, news that China was down, you know, 6.5% overnight. Maybe took out a little bit of, I guess, the optimism just for the day. But if you look at it in theory, not the end of the world. Broke its downtrend right there, went sideways. It took about 2 weeks before it went, which it did, and now you've had a pretty controlled pullback, and you've had a controlled pullback from, at least you had a red dog reversal right here, right? What did it do? It pushed through this high here of 94.77, came down. That was your exit. If you were, long it here with me, and you had more than tier 1, when it broke below this 91.55, you had to get down to something smaller. So I'm smaller. Overall, it's still holding the 8-day, which is what it's been holding, so maybe tomorrow is important for it. And what we do know now is the low of the day was 90.58. Maybe they want 90 for options, or maybe not. But into this area, it looks pretty good. If it happens to break this trend line, chances are it's going to be back to the old school BABA that you have to be very careful and pick your spots with. If it holds here or in this vicinity, maybe another trade lines up as there's still more gap to fill here. Google, some news today about Google House, Google this, Google that, whatever. It's still a laggard, but you do have a spot right here that if it wants to get above it, with volume, maybe there's a trade there. As far as other sectors, the XLF still hanging strong, looking decent. Goldman Sachs, no pulling, holding the 8-day. Morgan Stanley, which I was in from yesterday, actually showed some relative strength. Maybe finally, if we do get an update tomorrow, it breaks above this pivot here and gets back to the old highs, which it hasn't been back, since the beginning of the year, and it's been trending pretty well. As far as the IYT, broken sectors, sometimes you can't stay with, and you had a bounce yesterday that got negated, and at this point it's still below the 200-day right here, which means it's not investment quality. It lost its momentum quality right there when it broke the 8-21-day. At this point, I don't know if it holds, but if you're in it, I'd be very light. Some guys were talking to me about getting into the XLE, and I got a little of the XLE because, haven't been long this for a while. Tiny, tiny reversal. Oil had a little reversal today, not much. So I'm thinking, on this reversal in oil, if it goes up a little bit, maybe there's just a scalp type trade here on the XLE. The XLE, if you got out of it when it had its outside day right here, okay, remember, traded above the high, which was 83.35, came back below it, engulfed this range. That was your exit, okay? And if you exited there, you have the luxury of buying back down here for a trade. So we'll see. As far as some guys were playing GPRO, congratulations. It broke above the 200-day. Now see if it holds above it. There was news on it all day. Gave you a little clue to be in it, I guess. Broadcom, was basically down somewhat because look at this move yesterday, 10 points before the actual news. So basically if you bought it on the close, you know what, you didn't make money. If you got in it when the news hit or you were in it playing for it, you got rewarded already before the news hit and you don't probably care about that extra dollar. ALTR, I don't know why I sold it today. I just sold it today. I'm trying to bid for the options just in case I don't want to be long the stock if something didn't happen. But overall, I still think that, if it's going to happen, it could be somewhere in north of 52, so there's still a little bit left there. So if you're still in that one or in the options, that's fine. I also still have my YELP options. YELP, wide range bar, there was some big option activity in the July 50s. I think I have the August 55s, and the options I bought, I think right around here, just got back to the price I paid, and I don't want to trade this stock. It's horrendous to trade because it's so erratic, but maybe if something happens and there is a deal, I feel like from 85 to here, I could be involved in probably somewhere in the 60s. Twitter gave you a quick little trade, but nothing more than that. You sort of had a little bit of an up day. It popped up early. You look at the 5-minute chart. So with that being said, I did not trade it off the open, but everyone started talking about it on this bull flag pattern. So you had a quick move, didn't fail right away, went sideways. I bought it in here, added there, sold some into strength, and then I held a small portion where if you wanted to just get out, this was your basic out, and then it didn't really do much the rest of the day. Did hold where it flagged, so I'm in small overnight. Facebook, I'm in very small overnight too. Had a big move off the open, and then this wide range bar pretty much, put that out real quick, and did nothing ever since. They had some kind of conference today, so we'll see. It's very choppy. This hasn't been anything good in Facebook ever since this outside day on earnings right there that told you, get out of Dodge. You had a decent day here, and it's really haven't been doing much since, except for failing every time momentum traders get excited. So with all that said, You know, we'll see what happens overnight in China. Does China get more downside follow through? You know, or was 6.5% enough? You heard it all day long on TV. Meanwhile, did they say that it was up 43% year to date? Probably a double since the last year when it started rallying. So 6.5% is not such a crazy crash. But if it goes down another 5 or 6% overnight, then you know, it might raise some eyebrows, and then you know, that would be a quick 10. But still, in perspective, not that much. Europe, still waiting to see what happens with Greece. Supposedly, there's some kind of compromise that needs to happen by either Sunday or the real date is June 5th. So there, Europe is still quiet. If you look at the HEDJ, you know, not a heck of a lot going on except for, you could say that, you know, first of all, remember when this trend broke here, you had your small little, you know, head and shoulders pattern that triggered a bit of a corrective phase, you know, to the measured move, which came in right there. Then you had this wedge type pattern that broke to the upside, and now you're seeing some commitment to it. So overall, Europe's still hanging in there. The moving averages caught up. I feel like there is money vested here that still wants Europe higher, even though it's up probably 15% year to date. While our markets are still hovering up 2.5, 3, depending where you look. So it's been lethargic. There's been things to do. There's been air pockets. There's been spurts. There's definitely a lot of complaining going on the floor in the VTF, but it is what it is. We can only trade the market in front of us. And what you need to do is control your keyboard, control your attitude, control your frustration, because it's very easy to overtrade and lose money. It's very easy to take more shares than you think you have just because you're bored. You know, but you do those things and it's going to cost you money. Don't do it. Trade what you have on your game plan. Trade what you have for my note or my game plan. Trade what people are looking at. You know, if someone calls something out, just don't buy it. Look at the chart. Look where it came from and see if volume comes in. A lot of ways to keep yourself out of trouble and a lot of ways to find out where the action is. So tomorrow is Friday. We'll see what happens. Have some drinks tonight. It's happy hour. It's summertime almost. So enjoy yourself and don't sweat the small things. I'll see you tomorrow. Not in the morning call because I will be in Short Hills, but my note will be out normal time. Have a good night.